I want to start with a confession.
Mm-hmm.
I spend way too much time in, like, the weird corners of the internet.
Mm.
You know the drill. It's 2:00 a.m. The algorithm is just feeding you absolute chaos, and you click on something just because the name is ridiculous.
That is usually how we find the best case studies.
Yeah.
So what was the rabbit hole this time?
A YouTube channel called VexTheMuppet.
Okay.
Hmm.
I'm picturing felt puppets covering classic rock. Or something like that.
That's exactly what I expected. You know, maybe some satire, maybe a Kermit impression. But I clicked play on a playlist, and the playlist was titled Fur and Feedback. And look, I don't want to engage in hyperbole, but I think I found a philosophy course disguised as a mixtape.
That's a bold claim for a channel with Muppet in the title.
It is a very bold claim. But what we're going to be looking at today, this whole project by an artist named Vex and her cat, Jinx, it's just deceptively complex. On the surface, it presents itself as spoken word or maybe experimental hip-hop. But once you actually get the transcripts, which is what we've been doing for the past week, it stops being about the music. It really does. It starts being about, well, everything. Addiction, gender dynamics, the mathematics of depression.
It's a Trojan horse.
Exactly.
No, I mean that quite literally in the artistic sense. The Trojan horse method is a specific narrative device.
Right.
You present a format that is, low barrier, like a hip-hop album or a comic book, something that disarms the audience's intellectual defenses.
Right. You think you're just nodding along.
You think you're just nodding your head to a beat, but the lyrical density is actually smuggling in these heavy, often uncomfortable concepts. If Vex had published this as a series of essays on, say, the neurochemistry of despair, nobody would read it.
Nobody. But put it over a beat, give it a rhyme scheme, and suddenly you're memorizing a manifesto.
Precisely. And in our research for this deep dive, what really stood out to me isn't just the cleverness of the rhymes or the speed of the delivery, it's the utility. Vex isn't just venting, she's building a framework.
Mm-hmm.
She calls herself an architect, and I think that's the lens we need to use today. We aren't reviewing an album, we're analyzing a blueprint for survival in the modern world.
A blueprint that apparently involves a lot of cat hair.
Essential construction material, of course.
Okay, so let's look at the architect herself. Before we get into the really heavy theories, the 6-7 concept, which again just blew my mind, or the whole safety manual, we need to understand who is speaking. This character, Vex.
Yes.
She has an origin story track called the Vex Tape 94.
And this track is crucial because it establishes the era. We are in the mid-90s. This is pre-social media, pre-streaming. This is the era of physical media.
Cassette tapes.
Cassette tapes. The Sony Walkman. The setting she gives us is the corner of 5th and Main, which Vex describes as a concrete cathedral. It's very evocative.
And we meet Little L, that's Lisa. She's the protagonist before she becomes the superhero, essentially. She's the Clark Kent.
Little L is an archetype of the frustrated creative. She describes herself as having fury so precise, but nowhere to put it. She's writing rhymes on bus transfers. There is a sense of urgency there, like she is paying for her existence with words.
But the inciting incident, the moment Little L dies and Vex is born, is the bodega battle.
Right.
And this scene is so cinematic. You have the local kingpin, Cypher, which is a great name, by the way.
It's a perfect name. Cypher represents the establishment. In the track, he's described as cool as a winter coat. He controls the block. He has the turntables plugged into the bodega's power outlet. He literally controls the means of production.
Literally and metaphorically, yeah.
And he makes the classic villain mistake.
Underestimates the underdog.
Completely. He hands her the mic and says, yo, let the little lady hold the mic like a charity.
Ugh. So condescending.
Its condescension is a weapon. He is trying to frame her participation as a favor he is granting her, rather than a right she has earned. He's putting her in her place before she's even said a word.
Okay, so in a standard movie, in a standard story, this is where she starts rapping faster than him, or she insults his mother, or she makes fun of his shoes, right?
That's standard battle rap tropes.
Right. But she doesn't do that.
No. And this is where Vex's philosophy first appears. It's the seed of everything else. She realizes that if she fights him on his terms, insults, volume, aggression, she loses.
Because those are his tools.
Those are his tools. It's hell's home turf. So she switches the battlefield entirely. She doesn't attack him, she deconstructs him.
There's that line, it's so good. I rhymed about the weight of his chains, not the shine.
Stop and think about the psychological insight required for that.
Yeah.
For a kid on a street corner to come up with that. In hip-hop culture, especially in that era, the gold chain is the ultimate symbol of status, success, power. It's the shine.
Right, it's what you aspire to.
By shifting the focus to the weight, she reframes his success as a burden. She talks about the loneliness of bravado. She analyzes the economic anxiety required to maintain that image. She turns his greatest asset into his heaviest liability.
She's psychoanalyzing him in front of his own crew, on a microphone.
It's almost surgical. It's brutal. She creates a cognitive dissonance in the audience. They look at his jewelry and suddenly they don't see power. They see slavery. They see the heavy, cold metal around his neck.
And the reaction from the crowd isn't cheering. That's the part that got me.
No. She says, and this is a direct quote, "They got quiet with me."
That gave me chills. Why is the silence more important than the applause? What's the thinking there?
Applause is a reaction to entertainment. Silence is a reaction to truth. When you entertain people, they clap. When you shift their entire paradigm, they go silent because they are processing. Their brains are literally rewriting a narrative.
She don't want to be a clown.
Vex didn't want to be applauded. She wanted to be heard. She wanted to change the terms of the conversation. And the aftermath is fascinating. Cypher, the guy she just dismantled, he becomes her producer.
Which I guess just proves that competence is the ultimate silencer. If you're good enough, even your enemies have to hire you.
Or it shows that even the establishment is hungry for something real. Maybe Cypher recognized that she saw him more clearly than anyone else, and that's a valuable, if terrifying, skill.
But this transition, it comes with a cost. Vex adopts this very isolationist philosophy. She says, you don't fight for a spot in a man's world. You fight until your sound becomes the world. That sounds empowering on a bumper sticker, but practically speaking, isn't that incredibly difficult? Make your sound the world. That sounds a little bit like narcissism.
It definitely borders on it. But in the context of an artist, I think it's about environment design. If you try to fit into the existing slots, the female rapper slot, the novelty act slot, you will always be constrained by the dimensions of that slot.
You're playing by their rules.
Exactly. Vex is arguing for creating a new ecosystem where she sets the laws of physics. She calls herself the architect of my own destiny. It's about building your own house instead of trying to get a room in someone else's.
But architects work alone, and that theme of loneliness, it seems to haunt the whole project.
It absolutely does. And that brings us to how she deals with that loneliness, or maybe more accurately, how she refuses to deal with it using traditional methods. We need to talk about her safety manual for the mind, specifically her stance on intoxication.
Yeah, this part is pretty stark. Usually, music about the hustle or the struggle, it involves some level of partying, right? It's the release valve. Vex is militant about sobriety.
I would say militant so much as economical. She views drugs and alcohol through a purely transactional lens. It's a cost-benefit analysis for her.
She lists them out too. Molly, Percocet, Xanax, whiskey, snow. But she calls Molly rented euphoria.
That phrase, rented euphoria, is the core concept here. It implies a debt. If you rent happiness today, you are borrowing it from tomorrow. And Vex argues that the interest rates are predatory.
She talks about the Tuesday that can't be undone. I think we've all seen that. The weekend party that just bleeds into a midweek depression.
It's biologically accurate.
Yeah.
She's describing the depletion of serotonin and dopamine. When she says the snow cocaine is a blizzard in your brain eroding all the coastline, she's talking about neuroplasticity.
Okay, break that down.
The erosion of boundaries, the erosion of self-control, and crucially, the erosion of the ability to feel normal happiness. It wears down the shoreline of your own mind.
That's the hedonic treadmill, right? The idea that you need more and more of the substance just to feel the same level of good.
Exactly. And Vex is a control freak. We established that. She is an architect. You cannot build a stable structure on a foundation that is actively eroding. So she rejects the rented high because it compromises the integrity of her entire project, which is herself.
Okay. But if you take away the chemical escape, reality is still pretty harsh. I mean, especially for a struggling artist in a gritty city. What is her alternative? Where does she find release?
This is where she gets almost spiritual, but in a very secular, very grounded way. She advocates for the comeback, but she completely redefines what a comeback is.
Right. Usually a comeback means you fell off the charts and now you have a #1 hit.
Right. It's external validation. For Vex, the comeback is internal maintenance. It's the quiet work. She describes it as negotiating a treaty with the gravity that pins me down.
I love that image. Depression is gravity. You don't beat gravity. You learn to stand up in it. You build the muscles to resist it every day.
Precisely. You build stronger muscles. She mentions the dopamine flood when a puzzle piece fits, or the rush of a rhyme, or even pushing through concrete in a park, which is about running. She is looking for endogenous highs chemicals your body produces as a reward for effort, not chemicals you ingest to bypass effort.
So she's chasing earned highs, not rented ones.
Perfect way to put it. And that leads to this killer line she has. She says, "The greatest escape is to be profoundly here." That sounds a lot like mindfulness, but harder, more intense.
It's radical presence.
It is radical presence. Most
Yeah.
people use entertainment, their phones, or drugs to leave the present moment because the present moment is boring or painful. Vex argues that the original venue, your own mind, is the only place worth being. If you leave it, you're abandoning your post.
And you can't be an architect if you're not on the construction site.
You got it.
Which is a perfect segue to the most deep dive concept in this whole stack of papers, the 6-7 theory.
Ah, yes. This is the centerpiece. If you listening right now take one thing away from this deep dive, it should be the 6-7 ratio.
Okay, so lay it out for us. What is the 6 and what is the 7?
Vex proposes a mathematical formula for modern despair, especially in the age of social media. She says that for every 6 moments of curated bliss, the latte art, the vacation sunset, the promotion announcement on LinkedIn,
The highlight reel, the Instagram grid.
the highlight reel, correct. For every 6 of those, there's a 7. The 7 is the silent, sinking reality. The loneliness, the fatigue, the self-doubt, the ache, the stuff that happens when the camera is...
So it's a ratio, 6.7, the curated to the real.
It's a ratio of visibility versus reality. We broadcast the 6, we hide the 7. Vex calls it the algorithm of sadness. But here's the really counterintuitive part. Most mental health advice tells you to try to eliminate the 7, to fix your depression, to get happy.
Right, good vibes only, that whole thing.
Vex hates good vibes only. She argues that the 7 is not a defect. It's not a bug in the system. She says, and this is another one of those lines, the 7 is the truth that makes the 6 beautiful, not a lie.
Walk me through that. How does the depression make the happiness beautiful? That seems backwards.
It's about contrast. Without the dark, you cannot perceive the light. If you are happy 100% of the time, happiness would cease to have any meaning. It would just be your baseline existence. The 7, the struggle, the quiet, the gravity she talks about, provides the context that gives the 6, the moment of achievement or joy, its actual value.
So the climb makes the view worth it?
A perfect metaphor. The 7 is the climb. The 6 is the view. If you just post the picture from the summit, you're telling a lie. A beautiful lie, but a lie nonetheless.
So if I'm posting the 6 to cover up the 7, I'm actually breaking the whole ecosystem. I'm devaluing my own happiness.
You are creating a facade. You are becoming a brand, not a human. Vex says wholeness exists in the space between the 6 and the 7 line. You have to inhabit both. You have to acknowledge the struggle and the success.
She has another line that connects to that. The meme is the mask, the truth is underneath. And that's about the "this is fine" meme, isn't it? We have to talk about her take on that.
Oh, the story of Duke. This
Oh.
was unexpectedly moving. We've all seen it. We've all used that GIF. The cartoon dog in the burning room, smiling, sipping his coffee, saying, "This is fine."
Yeah, it's the universal shorthand for my life is a complete disaster, but I'm just going to ignore it and pretend everything's okay.
Right. But Vex takes that meme and treats it as a tragedy.
Okay.
She gives the dog a name, Duke. She gives him a backstory, a blue heeler mix who lost his farm. And she argues that Duke isn't stupid. He isn't oblivious. He's loyal.
Oh, wow.
He was trained to sit and stay, to be a good boy. There's a line, he was trained for a world that had gone up in a haze. His fine wasn't denial. It was a final report from a broken scale. He was doing his job.
She is critiquing toxic resilience.
Exactly. We tell workers, we tell students, we tell ourselves, keep calm and carry on. Be professional. Don't make a scene. Even if the world is literally burning down around us. Duke is the ultimate good employee. He stays at his post until he burns to death.
That hits hard.
Yeah.
So when we share that meme, we're actually kind of celebrating a form of suicidal compliance.
We are satirizing our own inability to react to danger because we are all too polite, too trained to scream, fire. Vex is telling us, stop being Duke. If the house is on fire, stop drinking the coffee and get out.
But getting out requires acknowledging the danger. It requires acknowledging the 7.
It all connects. You can't fix the fire if you're pretending it's fine. You have to honor the reality of the 7 before you can authentically enjoy the 6.
Speaking of not pretending, let's talk about gender. Because Vex stops being polite entirely when she starts talking about men.
The track just metaphor, boys. It is skating.
It's brutal. It's a full-on reversal. She treats her male partner as an accessory. She calls him a portfolio, a walking, talking symbol of my own social ascension.
She says, I don't need your thoughts, baby, just your function and your form. It's pure objectification.
And my first reaction was, if a man said that about a woman in a song, he'd get canceled. Or, actually, he probably wouldn't, because men say that about women in songs all the time.
And that is the entire point. That is the satire. She is holding up a mirror to the history of hip-hop, of rock and roll, of pop music. For decades, women have been the muses, the trophies, the video vixens. They are objects used to signal the man's status.
Right.
Vex just flips the script. She objectifies the man completely using the exact same language and tropes.
And then she gaslights the listener. She keeps breaking the fourth wall and saying, calm down, it's just a metaphor, boys.
Which is the exact defense used by artists who write misogynistic lyrics. It's just art, don't take it so seriously. It's a character. She is forcing the male listener to feel that specific dehumanization and then mocking them for being offended by it. It's a brilliant and deeply uncomfortable rhetorical trap.
But she doesn't stay in satire for long. She pivots to something incredibly practical. There is a track that is literally a safety manual for women in nightlife.
This shift in tone is jarring, but it's necessary. She goes from joking about objectification to dealing with the real-world consequences of it, which is predation.
And she lists the rules. Watch your drink. And, I'm good is a complete sentence.
I want to pause on that one for a second. I'm good is a complete sentence. Women are so often socialized to be polite, to offer excuses. Oh, I'm sorry I have a boyfriend, or thank you, but maybe later.
Right, to soften the rejection.
Vex says, no, I'm good. End of transaction. You don't owe anyone an explanation for your own boundaries.
She talks about the silent code of a hand squeeze between friends at a bar.
It just captures the hypervigilance of being a woman in a public space. You are always on duty. You are always scanning for threats, not just for yourself, but for your friends. She says, poison the well and get mad when we won't drink. She is blaming the culture that makes this vigilance necessary in the first place.
It sounds exhausting just listening to it. It makes you realize why she needs a sanctuary, why she needs a fortress. And speaking of keeping the fortress secure, there's a surprisingly medical turn in the album.
The sexual health PSA.
Yeah, I have never heard a rap song or a spoken word piece, whatever this is, that goes into this level of detail about dental dams.
It is surprisingly granular, isn't it?
She lists everything. Condoms, internal condoms, PAP, vaccines for HPV and Hep B. It's like a health class syllabus.
But notice the framing. This is key. It's not framed as don't have sex or sex is scary. It's not a fear-based message at all.
No, she says, protection is a language spoken from the brain and the heart.
Exactly. It's framed as an act of respect for yourself and for your partner. She has another line. Protection is the ultimate freedom. She's arguing that being safe allows you to be free. If you're worried about STIs or unwanted pregnancy, you can't be profoundly here, right? You can be present in the pleasure.
So safety isn't a mood killer, it's a mood extender.
Peace of mind is the most potent pleasure blender. She really does have a way with words, even when she's talking about prophylactic measures.
It's all insistent with her character, too. Vex is the architect. She likes control. She likes knowing the facts. She doesn't like rented euphoria or taking risks she hasn't calculated.
She is the antithesis of the reckless rock star archetype. She's the calculated, sustainable artist. She's building for the long term.
Which brings us to the one being in her life that she absolutely cannot control.
Jinx.
The cat. The muse. The fur and feedback.
We have to talk about Jinx, because in a way, he is the co-star of the album. If this was just an album about angry feminism and sobriety and deconstructing rappers, it would be too heavy. You would be suffocating. Jinx balances the entire equation.
He really is the anchor, isn't he? She introduces him as a furry little demon, a tuxedo cat, black and white.
Found in an alley behind a dive bar in the October rain. It's a perfect origin story for him, too.
A tiny, soggy, tragic heart of chaos. I want to hug him, but I feel like he'd scratch me.
He absolutely would, and that's the point.
She describes their dynamic perfectly. She's this rising star, she's Vex, she's destroying rappers in battles, but Jinx does not care.
He is the only one who is unimpressed by her fame. She says he judges her life choices and interrupts her flow by walking across her keyboard.
There's that bit about how he acts as a feedback loop.
This is why the album is called what it is. Jinx is the most honest audience. If the vibe is off, if she's trying too hard or being inauthentic, he leaves the room.
So he's like a barometer for authenticity, a fur-covered truth detector.
Precisely. Animals are sensitive to tension. If she is forcing a rhyme, if she's being fake, The cat knows. He leaves. So when he stays, when he curls up on her notebook, she knows she is onto something real. He's her quality control.
There's a surprisingly tender moment where she dedicates the one love song on the album to him.
It's beautiful. She says he has seen the unedited 3 a.m. makeup off version of her.
That's the 7, right?
Yes, you're connecting the dots perfectly. Jinx lives in the 7. He lives in the quiet, the depression, the maintenance mode, the part no one else sees. And he loves her anyway. Or at least he tolerates her for the tuna.
He offers unconditional presence.
It's the antithesis of the music industry. The industry is transactional. I love you if you sell records. Jinx is, I am here because you are warm and you feed me. There is a purity to that relationship that she can't find anywhere else.
She says, the hardest thing I ever did was let something gentle in.
No, that hits hard. For someone who built her armor so thick, who battles Cypher, who rejects drugs, who has safety manuals for everything, letting in a tiny heart of chaos is a huge risk.
It is the ultimate vulnerability. Because you can't control a cat, you can't make a treaty with a cat, you just have to accept it. And it balances the album. Without Jinx, Vex is just a machine of logic and anger. With Jinx, she's a human being.
It really rounds out the character. She's tough, but she's not impenetrable. There's a crack where the light gets in, or, the cat gets in.
Right, and that leads us to the final evolution of the character, the outro. Vex has gone from battle rapper in the corner, dismantling Cypher, to something else entirely.
She evolves from a warrior to, what, a monk, a healer?
Maybe a mirror.
There's this final track called The Echo, and in it she talks about laying down the sword.
She realizes that the anger that fueled Little L and created Vex is a finite resource, like rocket fuel. It gets you off the ground, but you can't run on it forever. You can burn anger as fuel, but eventually it just burns you.
She says the anger was necessary to start the car, but it can't drive the car forever.
A great way to put it. The work changes.
Yeah.
It's no longer about being the loudest voice in the room. The work is about stillness.
She has this really abstract metaphor at the very, very end. The whale is not just dry, it wants to be a puddle and just reflect the sky.
I spent a lot of time thinking about that line. A whale is this massive, submerged, powerful creature. It dominates its environment, the ocean. It breaches, it makes a huge splash, it demands attention. That's Vex in the beginning.
But a puddle is nothing.
Is it? A puddle is small. It's still. It's fragile. Yes, it's on the ground. But because it is still, because it's not trying to make waves, it can reflect the entire sky. It contains the whole universe in its surface.
So she doesn't want to be the big deal anymore. She doesn't want to be the whale making a splash. She wants to be still enough to reflect the world.
She wants to move from projecting her sound onto the world, remember her original mission, fight until your sound becomes the world, to reflecting the truth of the world. It's the ultimate ego death for an artist.
Wow.
It's the transition from 6, look at me, look at my splash, look at my highlight reel, to 7. I am here, I am quiet, I am listening.
It's a surrender, but a peaceful one, a powerful one.
It's an evolution from fighting to be heard to finding the power in listening to the silence.
And realizing that the silence, the 7, the maintenance mode, the cat purring on your chest is where the real life actually happens.
Precisely. The Vex persona was the armor she needed to survive the bodega battle in the music industry. But the Jinx energy, the grounding, the connection, the quiet truth, that is what allows her to survive herself.
That's the takeaway, isn't it? We all have a Vex inside us, the part that wants to overachieve, to win the argument, to post the perfect photo, to build the fortress. But we need to find our Jinx.
We need to respect our 7. We need to stop seeing it as a weakness and start seeing it as a teacher.
So here's the question we want to leave you with today as you go about your week. Based on Vex's 6-7 theory, what is your 7 right now?
What is the silent, sinking part that you're trying to cover up with a shiny 6?
And instead of hiding it, how can you let it teach you? Maybe, like Duke, you need to acknowledge that the room is on fire. Or maybe, like Vex, you just need to let something gentle in.
The wholeness is in the space between the numbers. Find it.
Deep stuff from a channel called VexTheMuppet.
Never judge a source by its username.
Words to live by. Thanks for diving deep with us. We'll catch you on the next one.
Stay grounded.
And watch out for the feedback loop. Bye.